Oh, where's this game been all my life? Like me.
Ghosts of Tsushima, everybody. I know, I'm late to the party, but I'm here now and it is bumping.
Do people still say that?
So in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts and impressions from a Souls player's perspective, and we're going to break this down into 4 categories. Number 1, visuals. Number 2, combat. Number 3, overall gameplay. And finally, the story.
Lists are good. Lists are good. Lists are good.
Also, make sure you stick around to the end of the video where I will give the game a score with my personalized ranking system. So let's get into it and start with the visuals. This game is absolutely beautiful. One of, if not the most beautiful games that I have ever played. Everything is crisp, clean, the leaves blow in the wind, the grass moves, you got fall time trees dropping leaves everywhere, you got cherry blossoms, you got rivers, you're riding a horse through flower fields. There's so many beautiful elements to this game. It's almost hard to put it into words. And the performance is awesome as well on console. Although I can't speak to the PC versions, on my PS5 this runs very well. And granted, this is an older game, so if there were launch bugs or anything like that, I wouldn't really know about it since I'm just kind of getting into it now.
How is that possible?
But if those things did happen, they have definitely been cleaned up at this point. Another thing to appreciate about the visuals of this game is the soundtrack really complements all the different things that take place throughout the game, and it really helps to draw you in and make you feel more a part of the world. So although audio is, technically not visual, it definitely does add to the visuals, in my opinion, and makes this game even more beautiful. Moving on to the combat, this is where I feel the game shines brighter than most games that I've played. Now, as I mentioned before, I play mostly Souls and Souls-likes, so I'm a sucker for difficulty, and this game I've been playing on hard, and let me just say, I die a lot. And I love it.
There is something wrong with you.
Now maybe you can't relate to that, and I definitely understand that, but this game has multiple different difficulty settings, so if you want to tone it down and just focus on the story, you definitely can do that. But aside from the difficulty of the combat, the smoothness, responsiveness, and sheer beauty of how the mechanics operate is just such a refreshing, and I wouldn't call it new, but it's extremely well done. If you are a Souls player like I am, I would call this Sekiro-esque.
How dare you? How dare?
In that it has some similarities to Sekiro, although it's vastly different, obviously. There are color-coded motions that require either a parry or a dodge based on the color, so that is similar. However, it is much slower paced than Sekiro is, and it doesn't have you moving at such a breakneck speed. It also is very deep and challenging, and it is easy to pick up, but it's very hard to master. So if you're going to get good, you have to put in a considerable amount of time into learning the parry timing as well as the right times to strike versus the right time to dodge and move away. Another thing that was really well done is the ranged combat. It's super satisfying, and one of my favorite things was just hanging back and seeing how far away I could snipe a headshot from. Also, you can use your bow while on horseback, which is also super entertaining and challenging. So the ranged combat was very surprising to me. Another thing that really surprised me was the stealth in this game, and as an original Assassin's Creed fan, this stealth really reminded me of that era. And though I mostly just dive head on into a enemy encampment and take everyone on mano a mano, the game does offer you the choice to sneak through instead and take everybody out silently like an honorless ninja.
You coward!
There's also an in-depth skill tree and progression system that allows you to always have something to shoot for. And I'm the kind of player that if I don't have a goal, something that I'm trying to get to, I just lose interest. And this didn't ever really make me feel that way. Couple that with the plenty of armor upgrades and weapon upgrades that you'll be able to find throughout the world, and I don't think that you'll ever find yourself getting bored. So let's talk about the general gameplay. There are a ton of unique and really cool elements that they put into this game that give it a whole nother level of interesting. From the bamboo stacks that you find throughout the world where you press a combination of different buttons, and based on how well you press those, you cut so far through, and it's a really cool skill test that I haven't ever seen before. There's also a great opening tutorial that really helps you to understand the mechanics of the game in a really easy way. There's also these things called standoffs where when you come up to a group of enemies, you have the opportunity to basically insta-kill one of them if your timing is good enough. You can also challenge the remaining enemies of an encampment so that you don't have to run around the whole place looking for them. All these things serve to just make a unique gaming experience, and I'm really glad they had the forethought to add these things into it. The other thing that was done really well is the exploration in this game. There's just enough fast travel where you can get around the map pretty easily, but the open world element leaves a ton for you to explore. You have a horse that you can ride on so you can get around to places. You don't have to just run on foot all the time. The traversal is also pretty clean. I will say some of the climbing felt just a little bit clunky, but for the most part it was smooth and you could get up and down and over things relatively easily. And there are plenty of shrines to go look for and villages to liberate from the evil Mongols.
They are evil.
And those things are a ton of fun to go do. Now, one negative thing I'll say is that there wasn't really a lot in the way of dungeon crawling, if you like that kind of thing, which I do. Really all I could find was a village to liberate or an enemy encampment, a random group of enemies out on a road somewhere. But other than that, it was really just nothing.
So?
Now that may not be a negative for you, but for me, it kind of was. Another big selling point for this game is the story. So you play as Jin Sakai, a 12th century samurai who is struggling to defend his homeland from the advance of the evil Mongols'
Why are you so evil?
first invasion. To do this, he has to fight a constant inner battle between what is practical and what is honorable. Sort of a tradition versus progressive dilemma. Through this, there are a bunch of interesting characters that you'll meet, a ton of really awesome side quests to go do, and the story itself is one of the best that I have ever played and keeps you engaged and immersed in the world, and you really feel like you're the island's last hope. It's also chock full of some really intense moments. Now, with all that being said, it's time to go ahead and give this game a score. So let's jump over to the ranking system. And as I'm sure you can probably guess, I'm going to have to give this one a must play. It's a terrific game. Anybody who hasn't tried it already should try it, although I am probably the last one.
Do it now. Smash like.